Hi everyone, Amaranth with Epic Encounters here. This video is going to be a quick introduction to the Source Infusion mechanic and Source Overhaul in general. The first thing you should notice is that in Epic Encounters, if I check my journal here for Source Infusions, we'll see that source points are separated between combat and out of combat. So we're having you start every combat at 0 source points, and your out of combat points are used for your quests only. Your combat source points are going to always start at 0 when you begin combat, and you will get points primarily by this mechanic here that we call source generation. And the way that works is you get your first point on turn 2, on turn 3 you get the second one, on turn 4 you get the third one, and that's the final one you get from the default effect of source generation. You can improve source generation with artifacts and with ascension stuff, but by default you get 3. Let's take a look at that. If I go into combat here, you can see on Judaline's first turn it says source generation next round, so she knows that she's going to be getting a source point next round. And bam, right away, there we go. On the second turn I have my first point. And let's say I want to infuse my ignition spell. You'll see here immediately on the spell card that there are 3 tiers of infusion. This is going to be the case for many spells. Some do not have any infusions, like for example Apportation does not. Some have fewer, like for example Vaporize does not have a third one. But for the most part, every single spell in the game is going to have 3 infusions, and at their base they cost 0 source points. This is going to mean that you have way more spells to play with generally, and you have way more things to experiment with. Again, let's say I wanted to cast Source Infusion 1 Ignition right now. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to do that by using the Source Infusion spell. And you get this in the Origins campaign as soon as you have any maximum source points, right? So once the collar comes off, you'll have this spell become available to you. And so if I use this, you'll see now my character has Source Infusion X1 prepared. And I can keep using this. It has no AP cost and no cooldown, so this can be used as much as I need during my turn. And if I use it again, it goes down to 0. So if I hit this and then I decide, well, maybe I don't want to do that, I would just keep hitting it until I go down to 0, and then I can go back up to 1 again or whatever. And I can't go any higher than 1 right now because I only have 1 point. If I had 2 points, I could go up to 2. So let's pass our turn to get 1 more point from source generation. Okay, so now you see we have 2 source points, right? So now we can actually infuse up to 2. And you can see actually it does require 5 pyrokinetic on Source Infusion 2 here. And all of your spells at all are going to have similar requirements, right? And this is just a way for us to reward your investment heavily into these ability schools is by unlocking these powerful infusions, right? So anyway, looking back at Ignition, what we're expecting from this cast is both the effects of Infusion 1 and Infusion 2. So Infusion 1 is repeating the base effects, and Infusion 2 says gain an empowered ignition spell that has no cooldown for 3 turns. So I'm looking to have both of those things happen. So, and if I had done Infusion 3, I would get all of that stuff, right? So these effects are additive is what I'm saying. You're expecting all of these effects to occur. So let's cast this then. So we had Source Infusion X2. It did its damage twice. I got Empowered Ignition. You can see this spell here. I'm able to cast an Empowered Ignition for 3 turns. You can see this is my original Ignition. It's on cooldown, and this is the empowered one that I now have access to. And it is just the same spell, except it conveniently has no cooldown, which means now my character is an Ignition build, right? Pretty sweet, I think. And this is exactly the kind of thing that we're hoping you guys have fun playing with, is finding these source infusions that kind of match the playstyle you're going for, that match the ascension options that you've chosen, that allow you to make these really fun and unique characters. So yeah, this is the Source Infusion system, and I hope you guys have fun with it. I think it's an improvement over the way that the base game has Source implemented. So yeah, have fun with it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.